guys, gals, and non-binary pals, welcome to Board Game the Game Show presents the WINterview, a part of RenegadeCon Virtual. The WINterview is the only interview you can win. Yes, you. Also you. Also you. I want to introduce my guest for tonight, the president of Renegade Games, Scott Gaeta. Scott, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. This looks like maybe more than I bargained for here. Like the stakes are high. My answers will depend on somebody winning a gift card. Wow, that's crazy. Oh,
many gift cards. Your opinions determine $150 in product tonight.
All right. I didn't know. There's just a lot of pressure on me now.
Well, that's the point. The key is for you not to know so that you don't get worried. That's what we're genuinely hoping for when we do it. So for everybody out there, you're going to start asking questions, and we'll start getting those up in just a moment. But I just want to start. It's been I want to say a long day, but that's never the way you want to say it when you're the person presenting stuff. But you've been in a lot of panels talking about all the new fantastic stuff Renegade's coming out with. So like, hit us with both barrels and let us know what's happening.
It's true. There's been a lot of stuff. And they even, I couldn't believe it. They scheduled my first panel this morning for 9:30 in the morning. Like,
oh, that's not a real time.
That's not a real time. But like, this is supposed to be simulating a game convention.
Yes.
Nobody goes to a panel at 9:30 in the morning. Like,
oh goodness, no.
Yeah. And I was on there with two other West Coast people too. I'm like, come on, 9:30 in the morning. Are you kidding me? But we did. We showed. We made it. 100% attendance. So it's all right. So yeah, lots of big new exciting things. So obviously the big thing that we've been talking about in lots and lots of panels is the new brands that we brought on board with our partnership with Hasbro. So Transformers, G.I. Joe, and My Little Pony join Power Rangers, which we were previously doing. And we've been talking about that. Yeah, so that's fun. So we've already confirmed that we're doing deck building games and role-playing games for all of those brands, and they'll be coming out in the near to mid future. We're not nailing down any dates quite yet for all of those. Actually, the Power Rangers game has been announced, and you can actually play the Power Rangers deck building game during RenegadeCon right now. You can play it up on Tabletopia, so you can experience that. Yeah, it's really cool. And then, of course, the role-playing games, I think, took everybody by surprise. First time, like most of these brands will ever have a role-playing game, so it's pretty awesome.
That's got to be cool to be able to take like parts that are such a big part of popular culture and Americana, and to just be allowed to just like fiddle with them and have fun and allow people to kind of make new worlds within the worlds that we already know.
Yeah, right. People get to create their own stories. I'll tell you, these specific brands have been things I've wanted to do something with in tabletop gaming for years and years and years. I mean, G.I. Joe, I was a kid that grew up reading Marvel G.I. Joe comics and, watching the show. So, but even as a professional in my adult life, I've been trying to do something with these for a long time. So it's kind of a dream come true that we're finally getting to do some of this stuff.
That is super cool. I'm going to ask just for myself, because I want to know, when do we finally get the like Cavity Sam, Mr. Monopoly role-playing game where they just exist in like Hasbro World?
Yeah, I can't help you with that one. I'm not sure.
That is a shame.
It is.
Those are characters dying to see their world fleshed out.
It's true. Yeah, there's a lot there. Maybe someday in the future.
So at this point, you've worked with, in all the different things you've done, just a ton of intellectual property and a ton of these cool things where you can point to like 7-year-old you and say like, oh, wait, one day you're going to be a part of that. Is there any, like, are there any of them left? Whether you've, whether you can get them or not, just you being a geek.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you've really wanted to kind of to get in there, and just hope that someday you kind of can change the world a little bit and be a part of it?
Oh, that's a good one. Ironically, this recent announcement with G.I. Joe, Transformers, My Little Pony and all that we're pretty close to like me not having anything left on my bucket list of IP that I'd love to work with. To be honest, like if I had to go with anything, I'd probably like to be able to work on Star Wars, right? Like I kind of came into Decipher during the transition of that leaving. So even though I was a huge fan, of the game, and that's kind of how I came into the company back in the day. I never really got to work on it, be very hands-on with it. I was a playtester. That was about it. So that would be awesome. I would say that one's still on my list.
Nice. And then we were talking about this ahead of time. As unprofessional as this is about to look for the next 2 hours, folks. We did just this much pre-work.
Yeah.
You have an amazing case behind you. And the only thing I could easily recognize, because the pictures that we see are tiny, because there's the chat that doesn't exist right now and all kinds of other things taking up screen space. But there appear to be some of the wax boxes from Topps.
Yes.
Of Star Wars. So like, what kind of crazy stuff? At the point you're you.
Yeah.
What makes it into the collector case in your office showroom?
So that case, I kind of rotate some different things through, and it's a little bit in flux right now. But yeah, that one shelf are original Topps 1977, 78 wax boxes, and then I've got some other stuff in there. There's actually a slide that was used to as a photo negative to make cards. Yep. And then there's some cards in there without backs that were like press sheet proofs and things like that. So the other thing on the shelf right up there on the second shelf is actually a D&D box from the 80s. It's not the original. I don't have my original anymore, but that was my box that I first had when I was a kid. With the blue book inside and the dice with the wax crayons and all that. So I went and got one on the secondary market a few years back. So, and that's
awesome. There's Mr. Tricksta asked, doesn't Hasbro work with Star Wars?
They do in the toy realm, but they're not the licensor of Star Wars. So the licensor for Star Wars is Lucasfilm Disney. Okay. So for us to be able to do something with Star Wars, we would actually have to obtain rights from Lucasfilm, / Disney, basically the owner of Lucasfilm. So,
fair enough. As we take a look, people noting there's a quiz show for tonight. People saying hey to each other. Just looking real quick to see if there's any questions that are coming through. As you have questions, I promise you I'm going to jump back and forth and try to get those in. Right. So I'm going to pull out here. This is where we'll be playing. It is on this screen here. We have gone through. I gave Scott 20 50-50 questions. He picked the 10 he wanted. Those are the 10 that we're going to talk about. The question will come up on the screen. You will pick which side you think Scott chose. If you're right, the faster you answer, the more points you get. At the end of 10 questions, the most points is going to win the big prize. That's how the game works tonight. If you want to get in, we're going to pop back to this a couple of times while we talk, just to remind you that it's there. We're just kibitzing about these things and letting you know a little bit about Scott and his preferences for just some of the strangest things I could find. Let me jump over one more time, take a look and see if there's anything. Yep. Susie Dancer says hi. Hi to you and I. Hi,
hey,
Susie. I can participate, right? I'm with Renegade Game Studios. Talk to Chris. Renegade Game Studios can tell you who can play. Thank goodness Chris is there for me so that everybody knows. James Brazil. James, if I butchered your name, I do sincerely apologize. Just wants everybody to know he's a big fan. He's on site. He's enjoying the con. He's having a ball.
Awesome.
And I think that's the most you can hope for. So another thing, goodness knows, through your career, you've done all the cons. You've been all the places and done all the things.
Yeah.
How much different is doing a virtual con than doing a real con?
I mean, yeah, it's very, very different. The one thing I would say, after we ran our first virtual convention back in the spring, we were really surprised at how much it still felt like a convention. It was really cool, right? Like you had to make choices. Which content do you want to watch? Which panels do you want to go to? What events do you want to register for? We were just as tired, from doing it all weekend. But we still got to sleep in our own bed. So that was fun. But yeah, it's different. Like we miss seeing our friends in person, and so there's pros and cons to it, but that's right. But yeah, but it's it's still good. I can foresee us still doing events like this in the future, even when we can get back to meeting in person more safely. Because not everybody can travel. Not everybody can go to Gen Con or Origins or Essen and all those things. So.
And there has to be a certain cool beauty, because I've done a couple of these myself, and it's kind of fun to have people that were not going to make the plane flight to wherever you were. When you start to see players coming out of like South Africa and India, and it's just so cool to see people like that having access to these kinds of events.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, and you know what? The tools for having these types of things online are just going to get better and better. Like, this is going to force innovation. It's going to force the tools and the technology to make it even better experience. So that's why I think you're just going to see this evolve, even once we are able to go meet in person. So it's a good thing overall.
Indeed, indeed. And I will say it, being able to make coffee in your own coffee maker and not spend $11 on a coffee at a convention, it ain't that bad. I know you're obligated, Scott, to say, no, we want to see you. We want to hug you. Don't worry, folks. But being unaffiliated, I will say there is definitely a value. Once again, like you said, waking up in your own bed, knowing where everything is, being able to kind of roll to whatever room your camera's in.
Yep. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, 15 minutes before we started the show, I was out in the other room on the couch getting some dinner, get to spend some time with the wife, and then be like, hey, by the way, got to go to work. See you in a little while.
And it's kind of great. It's kind of great to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's nice.
So I wanted to ask you, as folks kind of look at the things you've done in your careers, jobs,
sure.
You've certainly been involved a ton with like collectibles and that sort of stuff. Is there anything between like the places you've been and your time kind of dealing comic books, and then you're a geek, so like that means at some point you've dealt some stuff on the side anyway because you're like, oh, I don't need this thing anymore. Is there any like piece or pieces that either for sentimental reasons or potentially for financial gain you sort of wish you had still held on to?
There's a few things here and there. At one point, I owned a piece of original John Romita Spider-Man art that I do not have anymore, and I made, in hindsight, a bad deal for it. But at the time, it was an okay deal. But yeah, that would be kind of cool to have back. But I don't worry about that stuff. I mean, it comes and goes. You get nice things. Like, don't lose sleep over it. But for sure.
Certainly not. But yeah, that kind of thing. Everybody seems to have, if you've done this long enough, there's one thing where exactly you're like, look, I want everyone to know this is just stuff.
Right.
And people are more important. But like, if I kind of still had that first appearance of Gambit, I'd be okay. That wouldn't be the worst thing ever. If I still had that home run ball I caught of Cal Ripken Jr.'s, it wouldn't be like the worst thing ever if that's how things had turned out.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, all this stuff it's really fun. It's great to have it. I mean, you can tell I'm a collector, but you can't take it with you. So. Oh,
indeed.
You're just taking care of it until the next person.
So because I'm fascinated by fellow collectors, because it's certainly where I fit in all of this. What is like the coolest piece you have? Because like I feel like if you're like me, and you may not be, we'll find out. We're still talking.
Yeah.
Is that, you have these collections often so you can just show somebody else that cares. Like, oh, no, I have an original prop from the 88 Batman movie. I just need someone else to know I have that. Like, is there a thing or a couple things like that where you just like, it's the thing where you're so jazzed about having gotten that particular thing that you just kind of try to show it to people?
Maybe. I mean, I definitely have some stuff that I really love. Yeah. Probably one of the strangest things that I have, it's not necessarily worth a ton of money or anything, but it's just really weird and unique. And I've yet to find anybody else that has one.
Okay.
Is back in the day, there was Star Wars cereal called C-3POs, right? Yep. Okay, so C-3PO cereal is a thing, and plenty of people, you can still find pretty easily on eBay, the original boxes, right? People have gotten them and they flatten the boxes. I actually have a store display of C-3PO holding C-3PO cereal, advertising C-3POs for a grocery store. That display is actually right over there in my office up against a wall. You just kind of can't see it on camera. And it's C-3PO there holding a box of cereal. That's probably one of the coolest, more unique things. I would never want to get rid of it. I bought it in a collection like 20 years ago, and I've just kept it ever since.
Is that part of the inspiration for, I know one of the years, and you're going to have to pardon my memory because I've sort of been at conventions near where your booth is.
Okay.
But we all have to kind of do our own things. I want to say 1 year you had like a T-shirt in a cereal box.
Yes, that was just two years ago at Gen Con.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that started as a April Fool's joke where we said that we were going to be getting into the cereal business and we were going to launch Renegade Renegadios or something. And we mocked up the box, and we actually had an artist that we work with do a box that had different characters and different little marshmallow treats in the bowl on the box. And that was just an April Fool's prank. And then we said, well, let's make it. Let's make the boxes. And we'll put it. We're not going to make actual cereal. I don't want to make food, but we put a T-shirt in there with it. So that was kind of fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so cool when you see companies, especially because you guys are working with Hasbro. You're doing big things. It's fun to see when you kind of give a wink and a nod, and one of those kind of jokes around the office ends up becoming like a real life thing you can touch.
Yeah, I think people in the company when we came up with that whole thing for the April Fool's joke, at least a few people were pretty sure that this wasn't a joke, that I was actually going to want to make something out of it. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a look. Let me dip back over to the comments that are coming in just to make sure I don't miss anything. Let's take a look here. People are getting in the game. They're excited. We'll be starting that up in just a couple of minutes. I might put that on the screen again. Did I ever take it off the screen? You look at our screen. Yes, I did. So I'll put that back up in a moment to remind you what's going on. A lot of folks that are super happy to be a part of this convention, which is awesome. Susie Dancer is noting that she loves demoing and so thankful to be a part of the team. So that's super cool.
Awesome.
A note that the gold background makes it feel game showy. Yes, I also do. I have it in my name there. I do Board Game the Game Show. This is a thing I do all the time. So I learned from drag queens that if you did this, it gave you a real good game show background. Let's see. What else do we have here? A quick question. Okay. There was a note. So normally I wear minor league baseball hats. Someone's asking about this. Jordan Hopper's asking about it in the chat. Yes, I almost wore the Hudson Valley Renegades for RenegadeCon, but I felt like no one would get that but me and maybe you. And everyone else would wonder why I was hosting a game show in a baseball hat. So, Scott, I'm sure this is a question you've had to answer just countless times.
All right.
But I'm going to ask it because I'm here and I haven't had a chance to ask it before. So, what's the game that got you into all of this? Because, clearly there's this very much geek side of G.I. Joe and Star Wars and all that. So you knew you had that kind of what we'll call the IP side. But you're very much in games, and you're in games from way back in the day. Yeah. So, what is the generation of all this?
Okay, so there's probably 3 games that at different points in my life kind of propelled me, along into my game career. So first and foremost, Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Okay.
Played D&D. We were the very cool table during lunch in school. That we were playing D&D in middle school. And let me tell you, we were the envy of the school. That was the table to be around. Was nice. The D&D table? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no doubt. At least in our minds, that's the way it was. And so, played that as a kid growing up. As well. Those were my same friends that we were into comic books. Okay. Going down buying comic books off the rack and the little deli 5 and dime type store down the mom and pop shop. And then high school happened. I played a lot of soccer in high school and stuff like that, and kind of really kind of fell out of games during high school. Okay. And then after high school, went off to school and was in Gainesville, and I met these guys, and they were playing a game called Blood Bowl.
Okay.
And I was like, "What is this?" And they're like, "It's football, but with orcs and minotaurs and undead people." And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. Being a D&D fan, right on." So we went down to this game store and they got me into it, and I'm buying teams and painting up things. And I played in a league for a few years. So that really got me back into games.
Okay.
And then you fast forward a few more years into the 90s, and I was just coming off working for this company, and kind of got burnt out, and I left, and I said, you know what? I've always had kind of stuff going on the side. I was selling toys and movie posters and comic books and stuff like that. And I said, I'm going to open up a store. and I opened up a store, and I didn't have any games in the store when I first opened. And, these people, kids would come in, teenagers, really not kids, and they said, hey, Star Wars CCG just came out 6 months ago. Will you carry it? Will you bring it in? I was like, there's a Star Wars card game? Are you kidding me? Yeah, I knew about Magic and had played Magic and stuff because it had come out about two years before that. But I was like, yeah. And we brought in Star Wars and Magic, and then Pokemon hit and everything else. And there you go. I was back in the game industry, and that led to my first professional job. So,
wow.
Yeah.
And a heck of a time to kind of realize it was all happening around you. Is all those games that are kind of right around Magic, but aren't Magic.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So it was cool.
So is there any game because I know this experience of you do enough of these shows and you get very the blinders go up because you got to get from one place to the other, and you have to make sure your booth is okay, and you want to make sure that people that are Renegade fans and love what you're making, that you're there and you're committed and you're able to talk to them. But is there anything that as you pass it, you kind of find yourself stopped in your tracks for a second and kind of saying oh, I get 10 minutes. I got to go see what this thing is.
Yeah. So for sure, I always buzz through the Games Workshop booth if they're there. Inevitably, I always buy something from the Black Library stuff or a resin kit that I'm probably not going to get to put together anytime in the near future. That's a weakness. I can't help myself, and they laugh at me as I walk away because it's just become this running joke that here's Scott again. He's going to buy something that he's probably not going to put together before he buys the next thing. So that's okay. Role-playing booths for sure. I love a lot of the stuff that Simon's been doing. I really like their stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah. I kind of like everything. I'm not one of these gamers that, I only like this specific genre of game. I just like fun games, especially if they're story driven. Then I really can get into them.
I mean, that's the best way to be. And it's also walking around a Gen Con. That's always the hard thing I found in the years I did. It was trying to figure out how to get to the weird things you're not going to be able to see later in 25 minutes. Yeah. Because if you really have beat on everyone, all your coworkers, and you said look, I got to experience some of this or I'm going to pop. And they go, okay, go run away for 20 minutes. Yeah. And you're like, okay, so that thing that guy clearly has printed in his house. And if I don't get it now, it's never going to exist again. And just trying to figure out what those things are, especially if you're an Omni gamer, I imagine that has to be real tough. Oh, yeah.
I mean, my first time that I went to Essen in, I don't know, it was 99 or 2000 or something like that. Essen used to be much more this way, but it still is to a certain extent. But it used to be a film festival where you would go there and there was, hundreds of independent designers that would have one table and they would print 200 copies of their game. And it was, and you would just go around to these tables and be like, oh, I want to try this game. And, there's only 200 copies and you may never see it again. You probably will never see it again. You would come back with a suitcase full of all these kind of little indie, truly little indie games. It was really fun.
Yeah, I want to say the one time I went was in the mid 2000s. Mid to late 2000s. And even there, the thing that I noticed was all the because I'm a big dexterity games nerd. Oh, so cool. The weird giant stuff you're never going to see again. Where they're oh, we made Subbuteo, but you play it with an actual soccer ball and the guys they come up to your hip. You can disassemble them and fit them in your bag, but they come up to about your hip and you play it with a real soccer ball. And exactly like you're saying, we made 30 of them because they're so expensive to produce that we don't think you should buy it. Right. But we did make it.
Oh, it's funny you mentioned that. I own Subbuteo.
Oh, I'm jealous. It's one of the few I'm missing.
Yeah, it's a cool game. I mean, I haven't played it in years, but it was neat. And there was a little league for that game that back when I lived in Colorado that a store ran. One of my competitors, but we were really friendly, used to run a league for that. And you had to have a team, and the team had to incorporate food into the name. So you could be the English muffins or the Swedish meatballs or, whatever. So.
Oh, that's great. So one last thing I'm going to ask you before I go back over to YouTube, talk to some people, and then start the quiz part of the game. So you said you got into soccer. So I'm always curious because you're probably the fourth person I've interviewed that had at least enough soccer experience to mention it. So how far did you get into soccer? Was this a rec league thing, or was this an almost going to make it to the Premier League, but you decided you'd rather do something else?
I don't know if I would have ever made it to anything, but during my middle school through high school years, I was serious like soccer. So during my high school years, at any given time, I was playing on at least 2 different teams. I was playing, varsity team for high school, playing in some indoor league team, playing in some city league team. So yeah, I was a soccer kid.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then what are your opinions? Because I am not that much of a sport guy, but I like to ask because people seem to have big opinions on this of like indoor versus outdoor soccer. Because you see the indoor soccer where like you can use the walls.
Yeah.
Is that a thing you enjoy, or do you feel like that just wrecks the game? The same way some people really love like test cricket, and some people really love T20 because it's boiled down and it's 2 hours long. Do you have like a strong opinion on that, or is it just soccer?
No, I loved playing both. I really like playing outdoors. Indoors, though, is just really different. Yeah, being able to bank off the walls and stuff. I actually played in an indoor league once that was an adult league when I was in high school.
Okay.
And it was a friend of mine's father's, his company had a team that played. And we played on the team kind of as ringers, and people would come up and go like, what do you do at the company? And we were like 17-year-old kids. We were like, we work there? We don't know. We were like a couple of young guys that play a lot of soccer, and they wanted us on the team. So it was fun.
You were like, we do business.
Yeah, we do the business. Yeah, it's we're really good at it, but right now we're here to play soccer. We don't like to talk about it finance. That's right.
So I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring all the information up for the game. I am then going to pop over, but I want to leave it so everybody can see it up here and just see if we have any more comments coming in that we should go through. Yeah, I did explain the game once again. Someone noted, Chris Funk noted, I have a box of kosher salt autographed by Alton Brown.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a weird, cool thing.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah. Rolling with Rock is here. Welcome. Thank you so much. People noting Susie Dancer and a couple other people noting they would buy a Renegade hat if a Renegade hat was available.
We have gotten a lot of requests for Renegade hats. I think we probably would have had Renegade hats by now if the convention plans for this year didn't get shut down. So we'll get back to that. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's see. People noting they said they missed out on a shirt. The Chubby Meeple noting they have every alternate cover made of Amazing Spider-Man 1, the relaunch from a few years ago.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. Because, Marvel likes to do their alternate covers. So I'm sure there was a few to collect. Yeah.
Oh my word.
How many is that?
Say it again.
How many covers is that?
Chubby Maple, whenever you get it, I'm going to sit here and watch the chat. Let me know, because I'm not sure. I remember that Gen 13 back in the day did 13 covers, and that was supposed to be like the most ridiculous thing anyone had seen.
Right.
But I feel like that Spider-Man one had a bunch.
Yeah.
Let's see. People telling each other how the game's going to work. People noting that Sarah probably knew right away that cereal prank was going to become a real thing.
Yeah, she was probably the first one that just assumed that this was not a prank.
Chubby Maple's doing roughly 30 covers.
Wow, that's a lot.
Wow. John Mazzone, I'm going to assume it's Mazzone, but John, if I'm wrong, I apologize, said he will volunteer at cons for Renegade just to get the hat.
Just to get the hat.
Well, just to get the hat. So clearly, that's your cheapest way to get help.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Well, so John, actually, when conventions do resume, we don't do volunteers. We actually pay all our booth staff and our demo staff at shows, and same thing for virtual conventions. So if you are interested in becoming part of the demo staff, I encourage you to apply. I don't know where you would go to apply. Ask somebody during RenegadeCon, and they will point you in the right direction. But I'm not quite sure where they're funneling those requests nowadays.
If nothing else, there has to be like an info at Renegade Games, and that poor person can roll their eyes when it comes in.
Yeah, just send it to customer service. Jenny will take care of you.
Yeah, get it in the right place. We're about to do a 10 count for the game to begin. For some reason, and I do not understand what it is, this game does not have a 9 in its count. I do not know why that is. You will see it in a moment. One final thing I want to warn everybody, as the game goes on, the points are going to go up. Your first 5 questions are worth 100 points, and then after that, they start to go up. The final question of the game is worth 1,000 points. So get in early, but if you get in late, you still have a chance to play. 30 players are in the game. If you want in, now is your time We are about to set everything up. It is telling me, do you want to start the countdown? Yes, I do. 10, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here is your first question of the game. Yoda or Miss Piggy? Yoda or Miss Piggy, both popular characters from Frank Oz. That is what combined them. I wasn't sure if you knew it or not, Scott. I felt like you probably did.
I do. They sound similar, right? If you listen to the voices, you can kind of hear a little of each in either one.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
But that was, and I had a feeling at the point that you picked this one, you must have known what the connection was. But I felt the need to say it so everybody else knows.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's take a look. Here's how everybody voted. It is 96-4 that you would pick Yoda. I am obligated as a game show host, Scott, to pretend like I don't know what the answer could be. Hey, Scott, what did you pick and why?
So I am a huge Muppet fan. I love the Muppets. Just recently, I actually got to go to the Museum of Moving Pictures in New York right before the lockdown.
Yep.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, they had a fantastic 2001 exhibit and all the Muppet stuff. But as much as I love the Muppets, obviously, you've heard my love of Star Wars. I had to go with Yoda because, it's Yoda.
Of course, and there are a couple of these questions, folks. If you're out there and you go, oh, that question seems too easy. A couple of them are, we try to put them in the beginning here so we know that your phones work. What we know is 25 people got in the game. 31 are signed in. So hopefully you took this warning shot to remind you to pay attention from this point forward. It was only 100 points. There's a lot of points in the game. Let's take a look at the rankings. Right now, Alex B is leading with all 100 points. That is as good as it gets. Altus Live at 97, Chris F at 97. They are tied. One thing I want to note to you out there, there are no tiebreakers at the end of this game. It's very hard to have the same score, but there aren't set tiebreakers. If multiple people are tied for a position, we're going to take all that prize money, put it together, and split it out evenly. So just letting you know as we go through the game, that is how that will be working. I just want to take a quick look and see what third place looks like as we have a tie for second. Does that go deeper? 95, 94, 93, 93. So no, the top three you were looking at, the $100 gift card, the $225 gift cards, Alex B, Altus Live, and Chris F. But 9 more questions to go and so many points available. Here's another 100 points. Let's put it up for you. Amsterdam or Paris? So one thing I've noticed on your social media, among a couple things, is you do talk about sometimes being glad you're not traveling, other times being glad you are traveling.
True.
So, what is the current situation? Is it happened long enough that Wanderlust has come back?
Yeah, I think I hit a low point a few weeks ago, and I tweeted at United because I fly United a lot, and I tweeted at them and I said, "I miss you, United," and they actually responded and said, "We miss you too. We're here when you're ready to come back."
Nice.
Yeah, so that was very nice. But
you were like, "Hey, United, you up?" And United was like, "Yes, but it's a pandemic, so we can't touch each other right now."
Exactly.
Like, understood.
Understood. We'll get around to it. Don't worry. I'm patient.
Let's take a look at how everybody voted. As down the middle as this, I think, possibly could be with the number of people in the game, 55-45 Amsterdam versus Paris. So, Scott, what did you pick and why?
So I did pick Amsterdam. Amsterdam was my answer. Not that I dislike Paris. I actually like Paris very much, but I've spent a lot more time in Amsterdam. A company that I worked for in the past had an office there, and I have a lot of friends in Amsterdam that I still keep in touch with to this day. It's just an awesome place, great museums. It's also kind of the skipping stone into Essen. It's very common to fly into Amsterdam, maybe spend a couple days there, and then take the train or rent a car and head down to Essen. It's only a couple hours away. So there you go.
It does seem to be that there are like 3 stops outside of Essen that people take, and one of the major ones is Amsterdam, because in those couple days before and those couple days after, it is not unlikely, depending on where you are, you might run into people that you know from somewhere in the con thing, either at one of the museums or somebody's at one of the coffee shops, and you're like, "Oh, you're here too." Yeah. You're like, the loonies will be there at all the coffee shops. You're like, "Oh, hey, what's up?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No doubt about it. So is there anything, so for someone that's headed to Amsterdam, what is the thing you would suggest to people that maybe they wouldn't think of that you think they should go kind of like make sure they try to get to?
I mean, really just walk the city. Like I would recommend that for almost any place that you go. Like just get out, walk the city, get off the beaten paths, go into local local restaurants, and, cafes and stuff. But if you're into art, it has the Van Gogh Museum is in Amsterdam, and there's just, the Anne Frank house is there. Yep. It's really just an awesome place to go. But, the food is great and everybody's super friendly. And if you're not used to international travel, English is very common in Amsterdam. Yes. You will have very little trouble getting around in that city. So it's a great place for kind of beginner travelers to go if language is an issue for you.
And whatever type of art you are into, there seems to be a museum clustered right together, whether it's the Rijksmuseum or the Van Gogh. When I went to the Modern Art Museum because they had a Banksy exhibit. And I was like, this is a thing I'll never see anywhere else. So, definitely a very cool art scene there.
They also have a really weird museum that Sarah Erickson dragged me to one year. It's called the Microbe Museum.
What?
And you go through this museum, and it's tons of oh geez, my mind just went blank. Little microscopes, right? And you look through, and you see all these microbes and stuff. And then they have a big exhibit of like rotting food and different stages of, that's where there's the McDonald's cheeseburger that's perfect and it's 10 years old. It's in the Microbe Museum, that sort of thing.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, let's jump over and take a look at the scores. Jamie M leading with 189, still a tie at second between David Leavitt and Chris. Just no more, just like Madonna, Chris. With 187. Once again, these are 100-point questions at the start of the game. The values are going to go up. So if you're out of the game right now, don't worry. Fortunes can turn around in just a moment. The first 5 questions are still 100 points apiece. I'm going to do one thing real fast and just make sure there's nothing going on over on YouTube that we need to worry about. Just a lot of people talking about how much they love the Rijksmuseum. And apparently this is not Chris. I'm sorry, Renegade Game Studios. I thought it was. I apologize. But yeah, a lot of folks just noting how much they love the cities in Europe, which is awesome. Yeah. We're going to move on to question 3, 100 points. Beach or mountains? Simple. We're talking about travel. I wanted to get a couple travel questions in there. You chose them. Yeah. I did notice the really absurd questions you just were not messing with.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, there were like 1 or 2. I usually throw a couple of just like obnoxiously absurd questions that... like you might not even process them as questions. They're so bad. Where it's like a monkey with a shotgun fighting like a donkey made out of iron or something. Like it's those kind of things where you're like, oh no, that isn't even a real question. I cannot accept that has happened.
Some I just couldn't decide.
So 71-29, the crowd says mountain. Scott, what are you picking? Why?
So I'm wondering if people have heard me talk on other podcasts and other Renegade stuff. I talk a lot about hiking and backpacking. Okay. So mountains was my choice. I like to get up into the mountains, like green stuff. Beach is fine, but there's sand. Sand gets everywhere.
So you're not so much pro mountains as you are notably anti-sand.
I am anti-sand. That's the true thing. Yeah. Ties into my love of Star Wars. You just gotta go with that.
You're traumatized, and you're like, no.
Yeah, no.
I don't need any more of it. I've seen all of that I need to see.
That's right.
So let's take a look at how that changes the scores. Jamie M leading with 281. Jamin Jensor. Once again, if I butcher any names, I do sincerely apologize. I'm trying to guess them as I see them here. With 281 point behind, and Kamangal with 276 points in 3rd place. Once again, even Austin M, Cass S, there's still hope for you. We're in the 100-point questions. They do start to go up after we get past question 5. The final question is worth 1,000 points, so you're never completely out of the game. We're going to move on to question 4, another 100-point question. Here we go. Star Trek or Star Wars? It's an easy one, folks. If I had realized how much we were going to talk about it, this would have been question number 1. I knew it might come up. I did not know how much. Although I have seen, once again, I tried to stalk you a little bit on social media to get some things to talk about. And you do not seem to have any problems with Star Trek. You're just significantly more a Star Wars fan, if I interpret that correctly.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those questions that's actually really tough. I actually love Star Trek. I do. But... Yeah. Like... when it comes down to it, if I had to choose, if they were sending me off to the desert island and they said you can only have one or the other, I gotta go with Star Wars.
I understand, because what I notice is, and once again, outside observer, that's all. is that on the shelf of awesome back there, I do not see an Enterprise or a Communicator or a Phaser.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. I have had some of that stuff. I've built Star Trek models. I've built an Enterprise model, one or two in my life. But yeah, so at some point you got to make choices. What's going to take up all the shelf space?
Of course. So then I'll ask, because this is the required Star Trek question. Which commander, which version, who's your commander?
Oh, that's a tough one. Today I would have to say I really enjoyed Pike on Discovery, and I'm super psyched that he's getting his own show because I wanted to see more of Anson Mount as Pike. So I'm going to go with that. Like, I love Picard and Kirk. Lifetime, I'd probably have to go with Picard. But I'm really excited to see Anson Mount as Pike. I think that's going to be cool. Nice.
And then one more, because once again, I personally care about this. So I love to talk to people about this. Yeah. So Galaxy Quest, is that in your Star Trek canon? Is Taggart a part of that? Or do you it's so farcical to you that you can't? Because to me, it's the greatest Star Trek movie ever made. But I know a lot of people don't feel the same way.
Oh, no, I love Galaxy Quest. Canon, that might be tough. But it's phenomenal. Like, I think I've watched that thing to death. I haven't watched the new Below Decks yet.
Neither have I.
Yet. Yeah, I just haven't had time. So I'll get around to it pretty soon, though.
Also, a few notes. I just jumped over to the YouTube for just a second. Kamango noting that Cisco is underrated. Chris Funk in for Cisco. Susie Dancer noting Picard is her captain. Ed Moore's got Janeway. And a note from Jordan Hopper that Star Wars has had some really good TV too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it's getting better. Like, The Mandalorian was great, and we're going to get even more. So it's all good. Like, new content is never bad. I'm not one of these people that goes like, oh, that was horrible. Like, how dare they?
No.
I'm getting more. Like, how dare I complain that I'm getting more? It's like the waiter just keeps bringing me food. Like, don't complain about that. That's awesome.
Let me take a quick look at the scores here. Jamie M leading the 379. Jamin Genscher at 376. Kamango 372. Taking third place. I don't believe there's a tie there, but I'm going to give it a second to cycle back around just so I can make sure. Frozen Maple Escape Room escapees in the far distance. Cross and Bones working together at 75 points. Sumo at 340 is third. Don't worry, a lot of points available. We're about to move on to question number 5. I believe the last of the 100-point questions. Here we go. Vampire or werewolf? It's, we're in Halloween times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would argue most of the year's been scary, but this is the time where we can really celebrate it.
That's right. It's scary in a good way.
Exactly, which is nice. I think it's a nice twist for 2020 to take that scary in a good way turn that we're used to every year, but still was unexpected.
That's right. We were worried. I mean, are we going to get, Cabin in the Woods for real this year? Or
yeah. Because if all of a sudden that were to happen, everybody'd be like, who had it? Which one of you?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's take a look. The crowd goes, I did not think this would be this close. 53-47 Vampire, just barely edging out Werewolf. So my question for you is, which is it and why?
So it is Vampire is the one I go with. So, if I was going to get to pick to be one or the other, it would certainly be Vampire. I mean, I don't know. I like to dress nice. I like to go out, like that sort of thing. That feels like I would still get to do that, and more so as a vampire. Yeah. Werewolves are pretty cool, but as much as I like the mountains, like I don't want all my social time to be spent there. So I'd have to go vampire.
And as a vampire, you would certainly be able to like move around through urban landscapes, and no one would even ask.
That's right. Yeah, but just hide in plain sight.
Exactly. Even Count Von Count had great clothes.
That's right.
Let's take a look and see how this affects the scores.
All right.
Jamin Genscher moves up with 471. Victor O now in the fight at 412. Jamie M at 379. Bronze status. They're getting a $25 gift card. Once again, the top of the stack is worth a $100 gift card. The next two places are worth $25 apiece. And then after this game, we have a second game that'll be paying a total of $50 in gift cards, so stick around for that. Kamango 372, 7 points off. That guy at 357, tied for fifth place with Chris S. We're now moving into the more valuable questions. A 200-point question coming your way. Question number 6. Here we go. Stay up late or get up early? Stay up late or get up early. There may be clues here. There may not. I don't know. I don't know that did we touch on it? I don't really think we touched on it as we were talking through the interview very much.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think I really gave any clues.
I don't think so. I think maybe one, but I don't know if it's reliable. There's one possible clue. We'll find out in a moment. Let's see how everybody voted. So 60-40 with stay up late versus get up early. So, okay, Scott, what is it and why?
It's definitely stay up late. I can get up early when I need to, but I am not a morning person. I like to stay up. That's where I do like my best thinking. Go to sleep late. Unfortunately, sleeping in hasn't always worked out. But, if I have to choose, I'm staying up late. And now after my vampire answer,
yep.
Maybe this makes more sense.
I felt like between the vampire answer and the discussion at the beginning where you could not believe you were doing a 9 a.m. panel in a virtual convention.
Yeah, how dare they? What are they thinking? But for sure.
I'm going to take just a real fast look over on YouTube and just see if we have anything. Susie Dancer noting that The Mandalorian was awesome. John Favreau to write more Star Wars stuff, which would be great.
Yeah.
Chris Funk noting Voyager was terrible for the first 2 seasons. Add some more content. You can't be mad.
Yeah.
Let's take a look here. I'm just looking through real quick to see if there's anything. A lot of people noting they are vampire people. But they said, John Mazzone said, you feel like a werewolf kind of guy.
I do. Maybe it's because I'm growing I got my winter beard going. Maybe that's why. Yeah. So, all right.
And then just a lot of people noting they are dodging virtual bullets left and right through this as they take guesses. Let's see what that makes the scoreboard look like. Victor O leading with 583, Jamie M at 566, Kamango at 559. I saw 540 something in fourth place. Remember, as the questions become more valuable, the gaps are going to get bigger, but they're easier to make up. I believe we're still in a 200-point question, although I set this up a while ago, so if I'm wrong about the point values, I'm sorry, nothing changes it. Here we go, question number 7. Pancakes or waffles? Not a morning person, but still, I like to put a couple of food questions in here just to see what happens. The fight of the breakfast cuisine is where we are. Pancakes or waffles? I think this one, I've used this far more than I should for these WINterviews because I just think it's an important thing about human beings, which way they go here. It is 62-38 waffles. Scott, how do you feel about it and why?
It's really interesting. So I will say I'll eat either if the syrup is right. But, if I have a preference or if I have a choice, it's going to be waffles for sure. So
let's take a look. Waffles, the correct answer on that one.
That's right.
So why waffles? Is there something about it, or is it just, I'm often curious if there's any deeper thinking, or if you're just one of those people where you've been to enough hotels that are not your house that the waffle machine has kind of given you that Pavlovian thing where you're just happy to see it.
Yeah, no, the waffle is definitely comforting. But so, on top of that, it's about the syrup. Like if the syrup is awesome syrup, a pancake is a syrup sponge. A waffle is a syrup cradle.
Yes.
And it keeps the syrup very nice. It doesn't make doesn't get, soggy and soak through as easily. So the waffle is a better syrup companion.
Okay, very nice. Very nice. I'm happy to hear that thought out. Most folks don't have that thought out. That usually catches them off guard. I was hoping it wouldn't with you, but I didn't know.
A lot of thought went into that one.
Let's take a look at the board. Victor O leading with 771, Kamango at 750, Chris S at 730, Altus Live at 681. Once again, the gaps are going to get kind of big, but you have a lot of room to fix it. We are moving up to question number 8. It's more points. I just don't remember how many. I'll tell you in just a second when we hit it. Here we go. Question 8. Worth 300 points. Isabelle or Tom Nook? So this was another one watching. There was a certain period where you, along with the rest of the world, got into Animal Crossing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there was a solid point as I looked where you were pretty deep into it, or so it seemed. Enough that you would have opinions. Let's see how everybody feels. They're guessing 60-40 for Tom Nook.
For Tom
Scott,
Nook.
Yeah, Scott, what, why, how? What are we doing here?
Tom's a fine guy. My avatar even would wear his shirt. But I went with Isabelle because frankly, Isabelle was there to help me. She was giving. She just wanted to help. Tom always just wanted to sell me stuff. Like all he wanted to do was, hey, Tom, look I just added onto my house. And he's like, hey, that's great. Let me get you to take out another mortgage. It's like, Tom, like I don't feel this friendship is based on true giving and taking back and forth. Like it seems like all you want to do is take.
It does, and both of them, you clearly realize playing the current version that they both work for Tom Nook.
Yes.
But Isabelle feels like she genuinely cares about you. She just happens to be in this job. Is there anything you want? I got you. Sure, I work for Tom. No, I agree. Tom always feels like at any moment, he seems perfectly pleasant enough to talk to you.
For sure.
It definitely is a transactional relationship where Tom Nook cannot be bothered.
Right. Yeah. Tom is all about, he's like, how much can I squeeze out of this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have forever to pay it back. So he's not terrible, but he is going to get paid back.
That's true.
Let's take a look at how this changes the rankings.
Nobody's ever pushed it. We don't know. Like maybe if you don't pay him back after a certain certain point in time, he sends people. Tony
just gives up.
Or he just gives up.
After like 4 years not playing, you just get like the Bank of Nook notice that just says, hey, we miss you, man. Right. So we've just waved the house. Like, why don't you just come out and hang out? We all kind of, we've seen some fireworks. There's been pumpkins. You've missed it all.
Nice.
It's just like a brochure. Victor O leading with 1,040. Kamengo to 1,023. Chris S at 1,014, which is surprisingly difficult to say, I'll tell you, if you're out there and you're wondering. Catnip at $120. Austin and Oscar just entering the game. Final questions worth 1,000 points. So don't worry. You got plenty of time to work. 2 questions remaining. They are worth 500 and 1,000 points. At the end of the final question, once again, first place gets a $100 gift card for Renegade Games. Second and third get $25 gift card. Should we end up in any ties, all that money is put together and separated evenly amongst the folks who have won. We're moving on to question number 9. Question number 9 is worth 500 points.
That's right.
Puppies or kittens? And I believe you've made games with both puppies and kittens.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And we have dogs and cats in my house.
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel like, correct me, because sometimes I can't remember whether the things I remember happen or not. But at some point, you made a giant Shiba Inu house, didn't you?
We did. Actually, Sarah's husband built that house for our booth display.
Nice.
Yeah, he's handy.
It goes like this: 79%, 21% puppies over kittens. Scott, how do you feel and why?
Wow. So, like I mentioned, we have an Australian cattle dog in the house, and we have cats. But we do have a kitten in the house right at this moment. So I went with kittens. As much as I like dogs, kittens are just more fun. Puppies are great, but puppies also just like wreck things. They're like a Tasmanian devil of destruction through the house, where kittens are also a Tasmanian devil of cuteness through the house, and they tend to not destroy much. So I went with kittens, and we have a kitten in the house right now, so it was very top of mind for me.
That definitely works. But and it's a complete reverse, because dogs, once they get older, get a little more like subdued.
Yeah.
Cats, once they get older, just want to like knock stuff over and set stuff on fire.
Oh yeah. No, the cats, when they're older, they're like, oh, you left a glass of water near your laptop? Let me help you with that. Oop.
I bet you won't forget that next time, will you, big guy?
That's right. Yeah. Teaching you a lesson. I'm doing it for you.
It's a teachable moment is what it is.
Right. Yeah.
Let's take a look at the board. The Real Eagle Man with 1,226 points. Josh C with 1,188. Cass S with 1,138, which in the game right now is really not a huge gap. We have one question left. It's worth 1,000 points. So wherever you are, you have a chance to get in. I'm going to do one more look over at YouTube and see if there's anything I need to know. A lot of people happy about kittens. Whoever is manning or the account for Renegade Games right now, very happy with kittens. A lot of people unhappy with your answer, generally speaking.
Yeah, well,
It happens.
Yeah, it happens.
And that's what this game is. Sometimes we have to break some hearts here on the WINterview.
I'm sorry. I mean, puppies are cool, but
puppies are cool.
Kittens a little bit more.
Indeed. This is the final question of this game. I will remind everyone, at the end, we're going to say goodbye to Scott, let him do whatever he needs to do, unless you want to stick around, but we'll talk about that in a second. Final question of the game, question 10, jetpack or hover car? That's what we're closing on, 1,000 points on jetpack or hover car. I feel like I couldn't find anything about your opinion here, so I'm hoping this is not a thing where you're going to say, oh, we talked about it on 7 different podcasts.
Nope.
Just last month. So let's take a look at the split. It is 61-39 for jetpack for 1,000 points. Scott, what is your opinion on this and why?
So hover cars are cool. Like, I'm a huge Back to the Future fan, and I would say that's, kind of a hover car.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I went jetpack. Jetpack is what I would want.
There we go.
There you go.
That is the beauty of this program, is that if Bruce makes a mistake, we can fix it. And for 1,000 points, folks, guys, gals, non-binary pals, I do not want to make a mistake.
That's right.
Jetpack is the correct answer on that one.
Yeah. Yep. Jetpack. I mean, first of all, jetpacks are cool. I grew up in an age where jetpacks were something that you looked at. Like, I love the Rocketeer, but I could also be a Mandalorian, have a jetpack, so that might not be so bad.
Very nice. Very nice. Let's take a look. Here it is. Final question. These are your tallies. With 2,053 points, the real Eagle Man has just won $100 in Renegade games. James Brazil with 1,965 points. 7 out of 10 answered correctly. Is going to be taking second place for $25. Chris S. with 1,883. Let me make sure there is no tie there. Nope, next one, 1685 with third place with 1,883 points. Chris S., you are also taking a $25 gift card for Renegade Games. Congratulations to all of our winners. But now let me jump back to you, Scott.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for, I was going to say for being on the show, but really for letting me be a part of what you're doing here and let me be a part of your late night game show.
Oh, for sure. No, thanks for hosting. This was a lot of fun. It was fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, I hope. Congratulations to the winners out there. You guys, I mean, that was like a come from behind victory there. I thought it was in the bag for some of those other guys.
I did too. 8 out of 10 answered correctly is not bad at all. It looks like that's what you had to do to get in the top. You had to get at least 7 right to get into those top positions. So even with all the points changing, it's a tough game, and they seem to know you pretty well, Scott.
I guess so. That's kind of cool and also a little scary all at the same time.
I was gonna say, don't think about it too much.
Yeah,
just let the words I say just wash over you.
That's
and
right.
Don't really get into their meaning too much.
Yeah. Might freak me out. No, that's really great. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me, Scott. I'm sure you have more stuff that you are doing tomorrow for the final day of RenegadeCon. So by all means, get some hot tea. You're in your own house. Have fun, be around, take a nap, whatever it is you want to do. Once again, thank you so much for giving me the hour plus of your time and for letting me do my show as a part of RenegadeCon. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks again. Thanks for having me.